Still nothing. Still not telling me, like, spelling anything out for me. So, again, the Kingston, that's, the word king would actually suffice here on any other spirit box. So, again, we don't hear this answer quite often, which is why I always give it out every single night, just to see what's actually going to pop up. I'm actually hoping for a disembodied voice one night coming up out of yours to tell us the word Kingston itself. So, I'm going to start wrapping this party up and collecting your devices. You guys can ask me a million questions if you want, or I can direct you back to your cars or wherever you guys need to go from here. What's going to happen from here is I'm going to go through your data. Like I said, I'm going to upload it all tonight. I'm usually done with it between noon and 1 o'clock, and you'll all get a text, obviously back from me again of anything that I find. The data stays up on my website for an entire year. I do make it to where it's downloadable because I separate it by month. You have to remember, I'm out here 7 nights a week. Today's what, the 16th? There's going to be 14 more tours on top of yours. Try to get to it in the next couple of days so you can download everything. YouTube videos are obviously easy to save. All of your audio pieces will be in MP3s. Right-click them, download them. Very easy. The rest of it is all of my typed up notes with the links in it. Copy-paste to a Word document. It'll carry the links with it. So that way you guys don't have to keep revisiting my website trying to scroll through. I do a scoring system based on how much evidence is there, and I also left I'll leave a link to the field guide of how to go through the rest of the devices that you guys want.
I was like, well, if that's the name of the ship.
And were you a pirate?
And Bonnie, what was the name of the ship that you sailed on? What was your mother's name?
So if we did different questions for them,
Yeah.
we just keep asking the same ones.
How did you die? You got AIDS. What's the other gal's name?
What, your husband? Or?
No, the girl.
Huh?
Friends with a bad mother.
Oh. Something Reed?
Oh, that was her name. Anna, how many husbands did you have? I just heard 2. She had 2 husbands. Did you like your husband?
After a while, a couple of hundred.
We have a tier 4.
When we were over there, my mom said Ann, and I heard right here.
Sorry, I have my mouth.
Right there. Well, that's what it said. Yours says right here, or you said Ann and you heard right here.
She heard right here.
Right here.
We're still trying to get the name of that ship.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you. Do you guys have anything on yours?
I don't think so.
Really?
You said something about two?
I asked how many husbands, and she said two.
There were two.
Said Anna.
Because Calico Jack was never a husband, and neither was Mary Reed.
That
So
one, Mary
it would have
Reed.
been James Bonnie, and then whoever she married after her pirate career.
I heard 4 before, and then 2.
Come today.
Buy it now. Welcome to Charlestown.
The salesman goes trying to sell you a condo.
More V's. All right, let's get you guys the answers to these questions since we don't really have a super.
That was just a second ago. I got caught there.
That was the same bee I got.
Oh, what's their name again? I'm sorry.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah,
They passed
yeah,
away.
yeah.
Are you clicking the reset, Bryan?
Yeah. And we'll start it again.
It was that same voice.
And it keeps. It's green, right? I recognize the tone.
It's green. It looks green when it's flashing.
She got last.
It was that faint voice.
Hang on, I'm trying to hear what color he's getting. Green rim. That was a weird one. What was that last color?
Indigo or purple.
Just a second ago, I heard that faint voice again, and it said last.
I've got it.
I just missed it.
What happened? I just had it. It said Ryder.
So here's what I'm excited about, and this is like one thing off. Somebody heard 3-7. Where did that one come from?
Me.
So 3-7. Anne Bonnie actually was born on March 8th. So it's like one number off. So it's a close but no cigar. We did hear the number 3 again. I don't know what that's exactly relative to yet. That thing's just going berserk.
Right? Is it this?
Nope, not
I
close
got
enough.
her device as well. With the purple there.
Remaining.
I've gotten a lot of
We did get the word doctor. We will get bleed over from Philadelphia Alley over here. And the other piece that I was excited about was the word love that showed up twice. I was actually almost waiting for it to show up 4 times based on the number of lovers that I told you guys all about. And then of course read/raid. And luckily yours is the one that's recording. So hopefully I stumble across it when I'm going through all of my spot checks. So I'll be able to verify which one it said.
It likes you.
Yeah, something's going on there. Is anybody hearing anything?
I got a lot when we were over by those bushes over there. Like, a lot.
And show us what color your hair was, just like you did for us a few nights ago.
Do you want my arm?
You got to touch that metal stick.
I can turn mine on if you want.
Turn it
And show us what color your hair was.
Red on the side.
But that's a temperature.
Oh, the side is?
Yeah, like that's. You click the button again. That's the one I kept telling you to turn off. That's like the second or third button up.
Oh, I didn't hit it. I've only got my finger on the bottom.
You've hit it like 3 or 4 times tonight because it keeps turning on. Hit that third button up. Now the bottom one to record.
People are just super lunch.
It's a girl.
Yeah, but it didn't go in. Did you have it on mute before?
I had it
She
on
did.
mute.
I
Because the
like
group
this
can
one.
It said call me, didn't it?
I already can't tell.
Call me.
Been shot. Shot?
Put the first 2 letters. Put the first letter of the color of your hair on my screen.
It stopped when this stopped.
I just heard pull back.
can ask it again. What color was your hair?
Condition.
She used good conditioner.
Wait.
Down.
No, I thought. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're trying to put it
All right,
together.
let's go ahead and kill your REM pod at this point, so I can give you guys these answers. Any other letters on yours, Bella? What's the last letter you got?
The last letter.
V still? Okay.
I got nothing else.
At least we have some starter clues, so when I'm going through it, got something to kind of verify things. Ann Bonny, her mugshot. By the way, one of the few pictures you can find of Ann Bonny with a shirt on. The reason for that is because she used to bare her breasts to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Told you, kind of a hardcore chick.
Gotta flex on them.
I do get some young boys on this group. I don't need angry moms walking away from here. So, obviously, her hair color being red is what we were looking for, listening for. The other piece of the questions were the parents' names. That's William Cormack and Mary Brennan. None of you were...
Is her hair pulled back? Because a few minutes ago I just got pulled back.
I know, I wrote it down.
Oh.
Mary Brennan. Again, none of you are expecting a secondary Mary. That's kind of part of the reason why I left that question open-ended for you guys to be able to work with on your own. Because again, none of you were expecting it. Calico Jack. Everybody likes to see what the real Captain Jack Sparrow looked like. And I like to explain why he was named Calico Jack. So, he was named that because of the jackets that he wore.
Swear to your cat. Well,
Yeah, there's a lot of cats that
said
go over there. The jackets he wore came from the British captains that he killed. Fancy jacket, Calico Jack. So again,
Shut alive.
they had a live earlier too. It's crazy.
What'd you say?
Alive.
Therapist.
Therapist.
Oh, therapist.
It said grin, and now it says therapist.
So the name of his ship was the Kingston. I wasn't expecting the word Kingston to show up unless it was being spelled out on Bella's device, or if we heard it from a disembodied voice on Cassidy's device.
I got one more.
What'd you get?
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, got nothing on that. I have to look
Jillian,
at.
Logan. Got two names.
Just random names.
I.
Don't know who either one of those two are, but it's not like I don't have access to the cemetery on the other side of that wall. It's bad luck.
Bad luck. Bad weather.
She actually gave us specifics, like she knew about it.
I
So-
just
do it all
didn't
the
think of it. I
time.
just
Like I've
said
been there,
curse.
done that.
She's like, I'm gonna make it go down.
We're going down.
So he makes a deal with Anne so that way she can become part of the pirate crew. Now with that being said, that deal is that she has to dress like part of the crew in order to be hidden amongst the crew, but she's going to be a female in his quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland so that way she could be hidden from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, I'm a pirate, let's do this. She's a pirate. Now, she's a female being in his quarters. Let's put two and two together. Most of us are adults here. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a female.
Beer belly.
Beer belly. Okay. So he drops her off in Cuba. The big beer belly. Exactly. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts to show her beer belly. And she eventually has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. No amount of research I could find will tell you what happened to the child. This makes Jack angry, on top of her coming back dressed like a female. Now everybody's going to realize that there was a female in the crew. While she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. Oh, that lady's so loud. I hate when she's on the same corner as me. I hope she listens to this later. I really do. Yeah, throws me off every time. She's so loud. But anyway, she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So basically, she's going to make Jack even more angry. Guy number 3, in case you guys lost tally of that. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. This young lady's name was Mary Reed, that she was flirting with. She went by Mark Reed in order to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we're never going to know for sure, but the British find out where they are. So, Anne and Mary are the only two pirates not drunk enough that can come up and fight with their one bullet flintlocks, probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. Like, that's the whole gist here. Obviously, two ladies taking on a fleet of ships from the British is not going to work out very well for them. They're obviously going to get captured. As they're being captured and arrested, she looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog does show up often here on your spirit boxes, by the way. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. When you guys hear my name, it's usually relative to him. He wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly on their own after he tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't come up and fight. Two ladies go in front, reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female, still going to hang them, still pirates. We plead our bellies, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. They scream that out to the judge because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720, it's illegal. So he sends fine. sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money, because yes, he was an attorney back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4 has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. Mary Read died a year later in 1721 from whatever the pirates died from in Jamaican jails. So most articles would tell you fever. I will guess that it was probably scabious and bumpy and gross and whatever else you guys want to put your imagination to. 2 questions I left out here on purpose, because this is pirate lore that I tried to piece together for you factually. The 2 things that I can prove for certain, and everything else is fair game. The name of Anne Bonny's parents, I left out. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the name. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So if you guys want to ask about the ship, anything else you want to ask, have at it. Fair game. You guys know what you're doing here.
I got bunker, love, and then I couldn't tell between braid or reed.
Either one would work, actually, right?
We just
Should
got
get ready.
Yeah.
and that's spelled Houston.
Well, the N shows up here because of the Nicholas laws. Of it actually happened here the other night. We actually had 3 N's show up. There's 3 different Nicks in this location. Me, the judge I just talked about, and then on the other side of that powder magazine is the Nicholas Trot House. He was the first Chief Justice of the United States. So we had 3 N's show up on that thing just a few nights ago. Yeah, craziness. So again, I'm going to relate it to that until we get a further spelling. So the Houston thing, we're a little too far away from the rest of it because we've got a ton of letters in between. Those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the powder magazine to get some footage up there, and you can, that means you have to exit the lot and go in front of the bushes to your left. Just don't interrupt the other tours. It's the only thing I ask. So I'm going to be over there by that wall, and then I'll start gathering you guys up after a few minutes. Again, you guys will all tell me what you found. This is a hit or miss location. So let's go see what we can capture on this last stop. And I'm going to head over towards the wall. You guys can start spreading out. Definitely get unmuted on yours, Catherine. Any words coming up on your word list?
When did you get married?
What's her name?
Anne Bonny.
And when did you get married?
And who did you marry?
And what was the name of your mother?
What ship were you on?
Customers
And what ship were you on? What?
Said you have a look of surprise.
Not much.
I'm not trained for this because my ears just get
Yeah, imagine if you had the earbud.
yeah.
That's the first thing I listen to every morning. First cup of coffee is all that staticky, trying to find everything, because that takes the longest.
Yeah.
So I usually get that done and out of the way. And of course now it wants to stop. That's relatively new to the tour too. 3 months maybe, 3.5 months. Second night we were using it, somebody's handing it back to me as I'm packing up, and it said the word pirate, like clear as day, in this location. Not like part of a sentence, just like pirate. Like, are you kidding me? Fortunately enough, that person was standing next to the thermal imaging person, so they at least had, and because we all heard it, it was the craziest thing.
Mm-hmm. Guess I just don't know what the words sound like, you know?
Yeah.
They all like burn together.
That's why we got this.
Okay.
Oh, you'll have the full recording
Yeah.
from Aniston tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Bryan, yours is going to give off all kinds of readings. Yours is a Sharpie. So, what I've been experimenting
Charles?
Said Charles.
I mean, it did, but it stopped at Charles. And Bonnie was the woman.
Anne Bonnie. What was the name of the ship? Got freedom. Anne Bonnie. What was the name of your mother?
What is the name of your father?
Anne, are you here? I don't know what to say.
What is your child's name?
Anne, what is your child's name? Got open. What was your mother's name?
Like, I got past, I had passed it a little bit earlier. My mom got past
Didn't you hear Rachel earlier on yours?
No, it was, wait, was
I thought somebody heard Rachel.
When?
it? Did we hear Rachel?
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, we did. Over
You did?
I don't think I
Sure it wasn't Bob?
No, that was that one right there.
Let's
We
go learn
heard
about some
potentially
crazy
Rachel
pirates.
over there.
I don't know.
Actually, I'm going to
For
go
the
this way.
car?
Something there.
Bacon?
I had bacon
Did
again.
they say bacon twice? I thought it said bacon in the bagel.
Yeah, I can't hear from this before. It goes straight.
Release inside. Commitment.
soon as we walked in, I got an 8.
And when we were on the way, I heard Boyan or something.
You heard what?
Boyan. I don't
Boyan?
know. Voyage? No, Boyan.
Sounds French.
Sounds like boing.
Anything else heard or seen?
It asked me if I was okay.
Are you?
A little hot, but yeah. And now it says existing. All caps.
Yeah, they're all in.
Unless they're all in all caps.
They are.
The last one was a phrase, so it was all.
You are on it. You need a job. Like she waits for the cues. Like as soon as I turn my head, she like hits it off. It's funny. So, remember we had Anderson got shushed earlier. This is part of the reason. Like we're literally about 3 blocks away from where we started at the Pinckney Mansion site. So it's catty-cornered this way. For you Northerners, you know what that term means. This way. Now, there's a reason with the SHH why it actually, struck a bell with me. So the other tours, they all stop across the street at St. Philip's Church because there's 2 different sides to the cemetery. I give it to them because it is their one show and tell. Again, my show and tell is obviously all the gadgets that you guys are using, so I let them have this very simple story, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway because we did have something pop up possibly relevant. Over there's a sign inside the cemetery that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for that. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy, initials SHH. So we will get shishes and the letters SH on your device, Krista, all the time while we're over here, and she dies 6 days after her stillborn child.
We got
Now,
6 on yours.
We did 6. Yeah.
when was that?
When we were over, like, closer to, it was closer to where we are now. Like, we weren't all the way over the corner near the wall. We were, like, up there, and we were near the spot which was supposedly a garden, and we heard Pinckney 6.
At the Pinckney Mansion site. That's what I mean. I just needed to know which location. So you had SHH and the number 6. So, again, the word baby shows up a lot of times too. So I normally look for all those kind of clues. 1987, a local photographer is taking pictures of our beautiful cemeteries, and he captures a full apparition in one of his photographs as he's developing them. So it's 1987. He doesn't have the tech that we have now to be able to analyze it, so he sends it to Kodak. You adults will know what the hell Kodak is. The youngins, that's a little bit more of an explanation later on. Kodak doesn't know what to do with this photograph either. Yeah, basically develop pictures. So, we don't know what this, they can't make it out. They don't know what's going on with this photograph. So for guys like me, this picture is like gold. Like it is actual evidence. However, the picture is cursed. So it's cursed to females. So it's part of the reason why I don't always show this picture is because if you are handling it, even in a digital format like a tablet or your cell phone, same symptoms we talked about at the beginning. The headache, the nausea, the dizziness. So pregnant females are probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the story of the stillborn child. I'm not going to be the guy where somebody's on their honeymoon and they had a great vacation and 9 months later I cursed their family. So I'm going to ask, as I show you guys this photograph, don't touch don't touch the damn tablet. That's the only thing I'm going to ask.
Touch the tablet.
So,
Don't touch it. I'm with you there, brother. No more from me.
Yeah,
What about you?
What about you?
Say I'm good.
I'm good. I mean, I have, my kids are pretty much grown. I'm definitely good. No more. All right, so I'll show 2 to 3 people at a time.
Don't touch it.
So this is the full picture that he took. Your apparition is right here. Those are her shoulders, her head, and then the baby basket is next to her. This is her grave behind her. Looks like she's crying in her baby grave. This is probably another instance where the baby's buried with the mother. So full picture, your apparition is right here. 2 shoulders, top of head, baby basket next to her, and this is Sue's grave right here behind her.
Why looks loud? She just got body and I just got alive.
Stretched.
The body, he stretched.
Alive.
So, 2 shoulders, top of head, and then the baby basket. So, again, this is why every ghost tour goes over there. They make it this big, long, elaborate thing. So it just doesn't need to be because it is what it is. It's a photograph. Let's talk about it. And then with them, they tell their guests to take pictures over there. So you guys have a bunch of crazy cameras. What'd you hear?
I had body
And around like
when
a
you
few
were
seconds
talking about
before,
like
I
a
got alive.
full-bodied apparition.
Oh, you heard the name Charles. That's what it was over there that I wanted to explain. So I'm not surprised that you heard the name Charles because Eliza's husband is buried in that cemetery across the street. What's weird is we will get clues to that second wife Eliza over here because the husband is over there. I don't know who Q is. Alright, so Billy, we also heard Charles. So let's get into why we're actually at this location.
Got bacon.
Bacon twice.
Got bacon.
Double sizzle.
Yeah, we heard bacon again, by the way, along the way here.
Pretty sure we heard it twice as we were walking. It said like bacon and bacon again.
Yeah, I mean, it was, to me, it was like, I turned around and he's like, bacon. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. So,
Talking about the new
we're here because of this little tiny building over here. There's a lot of little details here, so let's get through this history piece so we can investigate. This is our last stop, so everybody knows. But again, I made this pretty elaborate so that way you guys had a lot to work with. That's the powder magazine. It held gunpowder for 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. And we're talking about the little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. In the event we have another earthquake, which we haven't since 1886, you can turn the turnbuckles and it's supposed to tighten the building back up to keep it from damaging even further. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So Krista, your look of disgust of like, what the hell does that mean, is absolutely right. The only reason I brought that up is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? It's the oldest government building in South Carolina, which is why we're here. We're here because this building is going to be familiar to the same time frame of when Anne Bonny came to Charleston to start her pirate career. So, this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But our story begins right in the middle of it, 1708. So follow me, there's a lot of twists here. 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far?
Mistress is her mother.
You got it. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? Just saying. But anyway, they left Ireland to come here. 1708 by boat. They land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation. And by the way, if you're unfamiliar with where Georgetown is, just north of here between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought the plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charleston to be able to sell anything from that plantation and keep things afloat. Now, Anne back home in Rhode Island was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. Again, hardcore chick. Fast forward. Building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne's going to fall in love because that's what Anne is. She wants her freedom, just like a man. So the first guy she falls in love with, yes, I'm going to keep tally. There is a handful of them here. His name is James Bonny. James Bonny, you can already see where this one's going because we've already mentioned Anne's full name. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny. When they get there, this guy is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. There's your word coward again. So she falls in love again a few years later. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the literal person that they based the Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So this is the real person. He has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why?
Because it will cause the
First.
ship to go down.
Stop,
Is
maybe?
it a stop?
Possibly.
I
Or
couldn't
it kind of
make
sounded
out.
like Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Possibly Bob. Stop or Bob. Got it. Hopefully it shows up on your regular audio.
I wasn't recording at that time, but we were walking.
Yeah, no, you're fine. As far as the recording goes here, I don't know what's going on with behind me. But those
Just
are
face it this way.
cameras. Yeah, let's definitely not film the people behind me. Okay, normally I tell you to get some footage of the alley, but they're obviously doing some type of photo shoot. It's very weird this time of night.
I don't know, we were doing it yesterday.
Yeah, right. Probably looking for an older style.
I mean, this was lighter. Street lights. It counts.
Yeah. Very weird. There is an I name in this, but it's not Ian. So let's talk about what this place is behind me. This is used. It's called Philadelphia Alley now. It's easy for me to remember because that's exactly where Eliza's buried. So it used to be called Dueller's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to take place for the city of Charleston. So we all tell the same story over here. However, I give it to you a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. This isn't just a normal campfire ghost tour. So get into some of these details so you guys actually know what you're listening and what you're watching for. There was a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with this cash. He thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of this doctor guy. To prove that he's not after Amanda's money, the doctor moves down here to Charleston. So as he's coming into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody was walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. That's where I was like, Ian, like he said an I name. So, but I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because again, you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something, as we've already kind of sort of discussed. So, with that being said, and it's actually almost irrelevant here. It is. So, I guess I'll remind me after I get through the doctor's story. But Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. RI shows up here all the time, even before we got the device that Bella's using. So again, we haven't seen it on Bella's device yet, but hopefully we will. But that's two different characters. We need a secondary clue so we know who it actually belongs to. But anyway, Ralph tells this doctor, you don't want to stay here. You got to come inside. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. He's like, but I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and you'll be good to go. Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and him and Ralph become friends. But the more the doctor's here, the more money he makes. So he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor, because that means Amanda's moving down soon. He's a very happy guy at this point. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. I can guarantee it right now, just pointing it out. But there is actual proof of this one. Let me finish off the rest of the story here so you guys will get the gist of it. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money than Ralph. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. Oh. I didn't know something fell on us, like somebody's throwing things. But a B, so Ralph doesn't think that this actress was so great. They start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. They obviously get very heated with each other, and they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. It's kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Letter A, so hopefully we get the rest of Amanda's name. That would be kind of cool. I don't know Amanda's last name, so we don't know her initials. It would be a full spelling of Amanda's name. Very interesting. But the doctor sees the ad that Ralph put in, and he says, "Let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this." So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. So, which is often what happened, by the way, at a duel. Ralph has one shot left, his only shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So the doctor didn't die either. He drops to the ground, his friends pick him up and carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Not surprised by that one either.
It's going off like crazy.
What are the letters?
All right, let's see. We got O V A V U A E I T V.
Let me see if it spells anything. Yeah, you read it. That's why. You turn this dial by accident. See where it says tap?
Yeah.
This mode right here is tap. So if you tap it by accident or shake it, it'll go. That's why. Alright, so the campfire part of this story is normally every ghost tour will tell you is you walk down this alley, if you turn on your voice recorders, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. So I used to take my tours all the way through there, and we would just use the voice recorder. It would be about turning the spirit boxes down, so that way you guys can actually hear the voice recorder in your data the next day. I do have some whistles in the background that I cannot debunk, but I do want to kind of word of caution if anybody's going to try this, where you guys are going to be without me and turn on your voice recorders. Every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. We all do it. Any local around town knows the story. So just kind of keep in mind, if you're going to turn on your voice recorders, you're going to get whistles from it. It's a matter of turning it up loud enough where you can actually hear the background of it. Here's how I got booted out of there. This is the fun part of the story. This is what everybody comes to hear this story about me from. So, this alley didn't always come all the way through. It used to be called Cow Alley. This is where we kept the livestock. Hence the word bacon. Normally we'll get the word cow, but
I just got cow.
well, that would have been because of the doctor's little story. Now, cow, as far as that goes, we will get the term cow that shows up here quite a bit, but other things would have been kept down there, pigs, chickens, you name it. They all would have been down there. So, the bricks on the other side of the alley are older. They are actually sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley that I would always point out just because it's part of our history. Again, it's all the way down at the other end. Everybody wants to try to get some kind of reading from those bricks, and I treat them the exact same way I do a grade. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. He's not there. However, November 26th of 2020, I seen where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Really?
Sorry, it's too easy.
It's a prediction. Plan.
I have 69.7 right there, and
I just heard something like 5.
Oh, what's weird is somebody else had a cold spot on the camera the other night, and I couldn't find it in the video.
there's something.
It could be her shadow.
I think I don't know.
Shadow's not going to make it drop by.
Oh, like
It's 72.
in the bush, though. By the bush.
72.0.
That's
The wall is
that's
just
the wall.
Probably. But 66.
So November 26th of 2020, my entire team decided they were going to huddle around that brick with the handprints in it, trying to get a reading from it. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. Came out not very happy with me at all. So me and my team of 10, we left, and the next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour that day because I worked in retail for over 20 years. I'm sure you adults can understand why I finally took off for Thanksgiving. The next day was Black Friday. It was November 28th of 2020. So I got a phone call.
So where did this stop?
I had a phone call that morning from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway or to reroute my tour. I decided it's not fair for my groups of 10 to try to work around 20 to 60 people down that alley in half the space. So I'm going to reroute the tour. I already told my team I did not believe in the story I was going to be telling them, but we're going to wing it and see what happens anyway. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we are going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So I'm like, all right, maybe there is something here. We get up there. I told what little bit I did know about pirates because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirates person. Told them what I did know. Somebody else hears the number 300. I don't know what 300 means until I'm doing the research the next day. Turns out we were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So we take you guys back up there and hopefully we're going to continue to capture evidence, but I'm going to tell you right now it is a hit or miss location. Worst case scenario is you're going to learn a hell of a lot of things about pirates that you didn't ever know before, because I've read more books about pirates than I ever cared or wanted to in my lifetime, just to make sure I can try to make a factual story out of pirate lore. So with that said, we're going to continue on. If there's tours up there, we're just going to stay out of their way, because again, it's a very popular corner, and I'll kind of explain once we get up there what's actually happening with that. You can definitely unmute yours along the way. Continue recording, Tyler, just because I want to see, like, since it is giving us some words we can't understand, any letters that you got going on? I can't see anything.
No, you can ask a question.
Was there any letters that popped up? Okay.
It's
I think that was about it. Wasn't there something else I was supposed to explain?
You explained bacon.
Bacon?
The million makes sense with the house.
You were asking something talking about it. You set up a picture over there. We'll wait until I get over there.
It's residential on the right. There's two houses down there.
Dead end.
And a Rachel. All right, good. So, welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. It's just a brief stop to kind of show you what's going on in this location. We've got to give you a layout of the land. So, when we crossed over that last crosswalk, coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So, Charleston used to be called Charlestown. You're standing on one of the very first streets we ever had. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived out here, which is why I asked you all for any kind of names that you may have heard along the way. Did you hear anything at all? I
Potentially Rachel, but
a Rachel.
We know that.
So, with the names, I commonly get the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. So unfortunately for you, this week starts a new loop. This is week 1 of that loop that I keep track of. So those 2 names though are Benjamin and John. When I say I have the full list of everybody that's lived down here, it's not a lengthy list of names. It's only like 2 to 5 people that lived here during specific years at a time. So Benjamin and John, they both lived here in 1801. I don't have anything extravagant about Benjamin or John other than the fact that I get their names here all the time. There were 4 different Johns that lived down here. John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. Yes, his mother was evil, she named him John Johnson. So we do get John, Johnson, and Ben all on the same night. Every once in a while we'll get a 4th name, that name is Jane. So Jane also lived down here in 1801. Here's why I think this is happening. Sorry, it's normally not this noisy down here. That's part of the reason why I come down here is because it's usually really, really quiet. So, you're standing on Belgian blocks. These bricks have been here since 1739 that we know of. Again, the historians don't even know exactly how long these bricks have been here other than a few hundred years. So, basically, any kind of earthy material like Belgian blocks, which are made straight of granite, can hang on to the consciousness of memories of the things that occurred here if they've been here for a long period of time, like a few hundred years. So that's why we actually come here. So Brian, with your device, I literally want you to put your device on any brick you choose. Don't worry about the antenna. I just want to see if you get any numbers on your red screen. And normally, we would normally see like up to a 1.1, like I said, natural from the earth. But at times, we will see this thing break double digits, 10, 12, 14, 15. So do you have any numbers on it right now?
1.0.
Okay, so that's natural from the earth. We're going to let it kind of ride there for a minute unless you want to pick it up. I'm good with it. But I don't really expect it if your initial reading is a 1.0. But again, I've seen it go all the way to 15 in this space. The other thing about this alley is before the people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. So we will get terms relative to the Freemasons. So that would be the word Mason, brick, symbols, Illuminati, love to show up on your spirit box. So first off, my question is who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Second, why are we only hearing it in this space? So again, 6 times last year verified, 3 times so far this year verified. So it's usually somebody that tells me about it as we're walking into the alley. So again, they don't know that the Freemasons had a spot here. It's just a matter of like, they told me a word, they thought it was funny, and I tell them why it's actually relevant to our space. So again, we don't have any terms that showed up on the word list. Bella, what letters do you have on your list now?
I only have an O.
Just an O. Okay. So, here's what's going to happen from here. Do you have any numbers going on with yours now, Brian? No, you can probably pick it up and get it off the ground. We're going to head over to another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through that alley, like what we're doing here, because I've been kicked out. You guys have all the blinky lights and noisemakers. It is considered residential at the end, and I will tell you how I got kicked out of there. That's the fun part of the story. That's what everybody wants to actually know, not the actual ghost that haunts the place, which I find absolutely hysterical. So, we are going to go talk about that whole haunting over in that alley, because we're going to be stirring some things up and hopefully being able to capture some bleed over as we get into our last stop after that. We're going to be relatively close. So as we exit this alley, Brian, you're still going to ignore your readings because we're going to be back on the streets again here in a moment. But the cameras, you're going to stop recording as we exit the alley because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to be able to get to that next one. So as we exit, just go ahead and turn off your cameras. But definitely keep listening in on those of you that do have spirit boxes. So you can unmute it as we go by, which we did.
Okay.
When we get up here. Tyler's leading the show right now, so it's up to him.
I got this.
I got it.
So is this what you guys drove all the way to South Carolina for?
That was one of the things.
One of them.
We had it planned before we left.
Is it off mute?
You can unmute it.
It's not gonna fall.
Let's put the antenna up.
Have anything?
Yeah, have anything?
Eliza, how many plants do you have at your plantation? That's not the question I wanted. It just came to me. It's not what I wanted to ask. Now I'm at the music channels.
Yeah, it's sweeping through them pretty fast. So it's going to go through all the stations hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might hear like a song you recognize come up 2 or 3 times because it'll go through it 3 times in a 5-minute time span. That spirit box with that one is usually about 75% accurate. Like, again, out of those 10 or 12 terms that pop up out of it.
How close do we have to be together for it to pick up what's
It
on
actually
there?
picks up pretty decent audio.
Okay, so like,
Yeah.
it'll still pick up back here?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's saying he doesn't want to stand next to you.
No, I'm just curious as to
It's
how
fine.
close I have to be to her for anything to be picked
So what's
up.
the reason for the big long trip that you guys were about to
Honeymoon.
Yeah.
I thought I heard honey something, and then I think you got cut off.
Yep.
So, but congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So,
That was the 30th
The
of
30th
last
of
month.
July.
okay.
So, newbies.
Still, it's never too late, right?
Yep.
Yeah, newbies.
Yeah, never too late to celebrate.
So we
So,
planned our trip down here.
yeah. My wife and I, we just had our 6th anniversary, and we didn't go on vacation for like, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah. This was, what, 2 weeks? So,
Yeah, that's not bad. No,
that's good.
Under control.
Yep.
Good. Alright, you got anything else coming out of there, Brian?
Got like, I mean,
I asked you about yellow and it went yellow.
You got 1 yellow then. Did it give you anything else?
Can you make it go blue?
Eliza, are you annoyed with all of these guests at your house?
People probably think we're crazy.
What?
People probably think we're
Probably think we're crazy.
funny.
Alright, so, you guys, you two got anything on yours? Can I see your crazy Ouija board box? There's an H on there.
I asked if
Alright, no, so
you see
make it turn blue.
anyone here, please do any letters on my screen of the
So nothing.
I still have Survivor.
on my screen, and she put 8.
But it seems like, oh, isolate. 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 You isolate.
Isolate the survivor. What does that mean for the rest of us?
I said, I was walking and I said, tell me something specific about your family that no one else knows. She switched to Survivor.
GW?
Well, then you can ask mine. Are you a survivor?
Like Brian.
Her name's Eliza.
Yeah.
Eliza, are you a survivor?
26 years.
It's weird because it has music.
Yeah. Aniston was saying the same thing. Eliza, are you here?
We got indigo.
Which is his name. And I didn't know that. He was like, clearly said Houston. And we just had to go.
Alright, Brian, Aniston. You have to be here or not.
Wanderers.
Anything else pop up out there? So weird that you had shut up and she heard SHH. Alright, so I want to explain the numbers coming up out of Brian's device before we do anything else. So he's basically measuring electricity in the air. So for those of you unfamiliar with that device. So to kind of put that in comparison to something in your home, if you were to put that device behind your television, it's going to be about 40 to 60 milligauss with all the wires you have back there. It's measuring in milligauss. So it's the same unit of measure that they use on the blinky light one that you guys see on TV. As far as measuring that against something else, a microwave running on high and you're standing next to it, go ahead and mute that one.
That's what I was thinking.
So standing next to a microwave, 150 to 170 milligauss. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been 214 milligauss, and it's been in this space. That is a dangerous level. Like, we left. I'm a guy with seizures. We got the hell out of here. I don't play around with that. We did get all the way up to, I think you gave me a 31.7. So in a space with no electricity, like the average for this space is about 18 to 22 spikes. So 2s, 3s, and 5s, like, yeah, they're exciting, but up to a 1.1 is natural from the earth. So I usually discount anything below that 2.5 just to make sure it's not coming from the earth. For those of you with video, feel free to go ahead and stop your video. So Braden, hit your square for me, and then, yeah, you got yours.
Red button
One all the
here.
way to the right. Devices to hopefully get some kind of answers out of it. So with Bella's device, I haven't seen a whole lot of activity out of it yet to know like what they're capable of spelling, what kind of initials they're going to give us yet. So we're still toying with that idea that 2 of those devices are going to work with that one. So again, focus on her deaf. As far as Cassidy, your questions, yours likes to give us 1 to 2 syllable answers. The mansion's not here anymore. Focus on what happened to the mansion and then when did that happen. We're looking for a date. So obviously it could be the month and a year, or it could be, you know, numbers all the way across. We never actually know what's going to pop up out of it. With yours, Aniston, I want you to... What's that?
The only word I've gotten is cake.
Well, I'm going to give you some questions to ask Eliza so we can spread out and start working.
I don't have any.
I'm going to give them to you.
Did it get you?
She got both of them. Okay.
Focus on Eliza's children. She had more than one. One of them was named Charles, if you were listening.
What happened
So
to the
there's more than that. You can ask how many kids she had and what their names were, but that's it. The reason why I'm telling her that's it, there is a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear here, all activity will stop. We have a 15.7 on his device already. Like, that's pretty substantial, and we're going to talk about that before we leave the space. So those are the questions that you're going to focus on. Krista, with yours is interesting. So Eliza is the one I just talked about, is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. It's either really smart or really stupid, depending on your perspective. But both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Find out which Eliza we're dealing with. Hopefully you get the name.
Mortality.
The dead one.
The dead one.
You said moral on mine.
Moral? Mortality.
0.7. You want over 2?
2.5. And we're gonna, like, you've given me 15 at this point, so I would say at this point, let's go over 10, so I'm just not writing down a bunch of small numbers.
Okay.
Alright, so we are going to spread out in this location, so Cassidy, you can unmute in this space. We don't go near vehicles. We're definitely not going to go in between the 2 little vehicles that are there. We're fortunate enough where there's only 2 vehicles in here tonight. It is a weekday, so normally this place is packed on the weekends, and we're limited to space. So start exploring. We're going to stay going forward this way inside the confines of the walls, and I'll be bouncing around with all of you to see what's going on with your devices after I talk to Bryan, because I got to show him a few things about his device, and that way I can start taking notes based on what's actually happening. So definitely get yours unmuted, and let's see what we can go capture. I'll be with all of you in just like a minute or 2, because this isn't going to take long, I don't think. So you've already given me what, 3.2 and 15.7?
Yeah.
Weird that
So
I
I'm
have to
just
memorize all
finding
this stuff.
dates.
Before I can write it down.
Thank you. So it's just kind of like figuring out just generally what happened, I guess. I'm not sure what yours exactly tells us, but
Yeah. Mine just says like general tooth. Supposed to find what happened because it only gives you 2 syllable things. There's sounds
so
coming
this
through.
cycles through stations. Is there a house here?
Because I want to know. How did this house get destroyed? Okay. What year did this house get demolished?
kind of plants are we growing in this garden?
Is it indigo?
It kind of did sound like indigo.
It said indigo.
I don't know if it did, but if you said indigo, can you repeat that?
If you said indigo, can you repeat it?
It kind of sounded like indigo. I don't know. Could be just because I'm listening for it.
I don't want to go too close to the horse area.
Oh, I did pretty far away. I think those are kind of like the same thing.
Theirs is
But they
the
have-
static and then it's like,
Yeah, but it's in their ear.
I guess, like, we could say how he died, but I said it was tragic.
I feel like we're going to ask more questions that are related to, like, the idea that they're still alive. You know, so just like
That's 2 syllables, though.
2 syllables.
That's what mine is. So, like, if we said, is anybody standing right here? It's confusing because it has, like, the songs in it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. This is annoying one.
How many plants are in your garden? Can you put it up,
I
or is
said
it
I
over
did.
there?
It wasn't up. What year did this house get demolished? It's hard because there's like noises that I get delayed.
How many siblings do you have?
How many siblings do you have? How many siblings do you have?
All right, what's going on over here?
We're trying to figure out what kind of questions to ask, and I guess a reminder on how this one works again.
So, blue is FM. I'm sorry, red is FM. Blue is AM. It's sweeping through both of them, looking for words, like, and no white noise.
Okay.
So it's hoping to, like, I have the auto noise canceling set to where we can actually get a decent amount. Like 10 to 12 terms in a 2-hour time frame is a decent amount for this one. I've used this thing for hours and hours and hours before I even brought it to the board, trying to figure out where the balance was. But this is one of those ones where if you hear something, it's going to be clear as day. Like, you're going to know it, and it won't be a question of like what you actually heard.
So
The only thing we questionably heard was indigo.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And you were obviously close together.
I was closer where it should have picked it up, I think. It was one of the first things we asked. I think we asked, what kind of plants did you grow here?
What's funny is the word herb showed up over here. Let's get out of this car's way.
Okay. Fun.
What, you have a W? Can I see what else is on there? What else do you have?
How many people are standing right here at your house?
Almost wrong. What's weird is there is another space where we do get switched a lot. And it's based on the initiative.
How many people are standing at your house right now?
It's just weird that it's so, and then you have the word herb that showed up on yours. So again, there's little weird.
Yeah, it said shut up at us.
Say shut up. Oh no.
How many people do you have working for you?
How many people do you have working for you? Eliza, how many people do you have working for you? It gets really quiet when we ask questions.
I'm assuming it's cycling through.
Oh, they've got their own show coming up.
Yeah.
He's already documenting it on
We
there.
looked at like the paranormal psychology. I'm like, there's none in the U.S. There's better. There's like worse things to be in. You're gonna have to go abroad. Exactly right. Yes, we are. Paranormal psychology.
All right. Welcome to your first stop. We're not going to be here for a very long period of time. Did it stop on you?
What? No, I was just looking at it. I think it's still running. Does it like?
I can see the blinking light.
Does it just continuously record, or does it like?
It's going to create files. I think it's like 10 minutes and 36
Okay,
seconds.
yeah, because it restarted and it's only at like 56 seconds.
Yeah.
So, gotcha.
I know, I'm not doing it yet,
Here's one mouth.
So, welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot. This is where we keep some of the horses for your carriage rides. They can hear white noise, which is exactly why Cassidy's on mute, and the rest of you are using earbuds with your spirit boxes. They don't like the white noise. They'll kick that metal wall and scare the bejesus out of all of us. So, just the way that goes. The history here is really simple. This is the same red barn where they held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords here are going to be delivery, milk, and eggs. Obviously, weird terms you would hear on the radio. Delivery, maybe not so much, but milk and eggs for sure. Anything relatable to a state. So, let's talk about those spirit boxes, because we have plenty of them in use tonight. So, everybody, we have at least 4 spirit boxes in play, plus the new Envoy. So, what is the first question everybody wants to ask? Either a spirit box, Ouija board, some kind of communication to the dead. What's the first question?
Probably, how did you die?
You get every new place you get a certain ice cream.
we're going to pretty much hang on to these the entire time unless you guys want to switch it amongst your family. What?
Probably, how did you die?
How did you die? What's another question?
Is there anyone in here?
Is there anyone here? That's usually the first one. So in the event Houston hears the answer of no, that means somebody's here. We are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. Reason for that, we have the word deliver.
Aha.
Again, these are the things I can't make up. I promise you. That thing is not programmed. So, I'm actually very excited about that, but I'm going to keep moving on so we can get away from the ponies. So, with yes and no answers, that is not paranormal proof, just so you guys know. We are actually going after the details tonight. When I'm teaching people how to use all of these spirit boxes and all of these communication devices, it is a matter of asking questions you already know the answers to at first, so that way you guys know what you're doing. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are looking and listening for the color red. When I say looking, are you having trouble with something? It's not the button, it's the wheel next to it. I hear it. Got it now? Okay. So, where was it? Oh, all of the, I don't want to see everybody.
It's basically just a recording camera. It's supposed to, I guess, pick up like orbs and stuff.
Big red barn. Big red barn. So, let me get through this piece. So, with the big red barn, we're obviously looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Krista has basically a word list. She doesn't have to listen to anything. The word red might not be available to the song lyrics and DJs that the rest of you are listening in on. So the terms fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer to what color is the big red barn. Blood. I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there's at least 2 happenings going on with your devices to be able to even come close to calling it paranormal. Not everything is going to be paranormal, just so you know. I'm not that guy, and I'm definitely not a TV show host. So, another example to kind of verify those clues. Let's say Krista's word list has the word art on it. I don't think it does right now, but let's say it does. That doesn't mean anything to us over here. However, let's say Cassidy hears the number 40 on her spirit box. Together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you guys see where we're going to be putting the clues together? This is more like an escape room than it is a ghost tour. Yeah, I know, bad analogy, but it works here. So especially if you've been to an escape room and know how clues work. So let's talk about the cameras. Braden, you're going to try to do, well, I guess there's 2 cameras in play tonight. First and foremost, both of you are going to be in spaces like this where there's going to be parked vehicles and people walking by. People don't like to be filmed, and people definitely do not like their cars to be filmed. So again, if I do an Andy's coming, Tyler, you're going to point yours straight down. Braden, you have a cell phone, which is part of the reason why I gave it to you. It's much easier to hide, so you don't have to worry so much about it. But with yours, I want you to try to do 2 things for us. I want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times. The reason for that is we're going to be the warmest thing out here, guys, and it's much easier to find a cold spot if we have that big difference in temperature. So we should be between 94 to 98 degrees, and the colder spots, I'm usually looking for like a 15-degree temperature difference. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason for that is because the blue dot will default to the blue sky, or the empty sky, looking for a surface. So again, try to keep the sky out if you can. Sometimes it's going to be impossible. Tyler, with yours, nice and easy tonight since there's no lasers being involved with it. Nice slow movements, and it's basically helping Cassidy listen in on her spirit box, so that way you guys don't miss anything coming out of it. And if you 2 do, it's going to be on the audio recording. So the only person I have left to actually work with is going to be Bryan on his millimeter, and I'm going to have to keep following up with Miss Bella and Krista to see what's going on with their devices, because they do not, well, yours is recording, but I would like to see what's going on in real time. Yeah.
Basically just a GoPro.
You have to remember that 80% of it's going to be garbage. It's meant to try to scare us. So
she's telling me to exercise.
Not exercise.
Like exorcism.
Exorcism.
Oh, I thought she was telling me to exercise.
It could have been. Could have been her view.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, let's get away from ponies and football players and head up to the next spot. So, welcome to your first weird space. I told you guys I'd be taking you to some spaces that the other ghost tours won't go to. Congrats, you made it to a parking lot. This used to be something. That's why we're here. This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. I'll get into that in a second. With all the spirit boxes here, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we just did with the red barn. So you will be getting the answers from your spirit boxes, and I will withhold information on purpose, so that way you guys all have a genuine experience. So, who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? Well, let me give you the layout of the land first. The mansion sat in the front. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses. Do you guys see why we look for those secondary clues now? We need to know which Chuck we're chatting with. Like, that's just how it goes. So, the son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics even more so than the kids over there. So, we're going to talk about Eliza. She has a way cooler story anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So, the reason I say that is because if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. It's going to be according to today's standards. I brought this up because her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they married. Kind of a creepy age gap back then, definitely a creepy age gap now. So kind of keep that in the back of all of your brains. Now, she married him because her father was over in England, and he thought he was dying. He was trying to bring all of his kids home one last time so he could see him. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so instead, she stays here and gets married. 1744. You don't get married for a green card in 1744 because we're not a country yet. She didn't marry this guy out of love. She was correct. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Houston has it on right now. That's how we use it today. But when Eliza got these seeds, she had no idea what to do with them. She learned from her slaves on how to keep it cultivated here because it's not always warm here. So, once she figured it out, she moved it to another plantation, calls her father up and says, hey, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. These are things that are absolutely unheard of for the time frame. That's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. What do we got going on with your word list? You kind of chuckled at it.
Because I went to 3.2 when I pointed out it. Shut the garbage.
So you have garbage. Did you run all the way up to 3.2 so far?
Yep. When I was sleeping her in there, when I came from that.
Well, it's not because you're pointing it at her. It's
I was
because
gonna
the
say.
3.2 is,
Yeah.
because they have the
It's just that direction. No 15.7.
Remind me to write this down in the chat after I give questions out anyway. Alright, so Houston, we're going to start with you on the questions. So we're going to give you the questions about Eliza's death. You can ask Eliza whatever you want to about her death. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So that one, sir, it's already recording. And again, I'll give you the cues for starts and stops on yours. Yep, you got the handle. Look at you.
Is that handle?
Pro.
Sweet. We're on top of this. Yeah. Say cheese.
You just gotta hold on to
Oh
it.
gosh.
Isn't that creepy?
That's really a tiny screen,
Right?
so I don't know if I can see much, but
You gotta hold on to the technology, even if you see something scary.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Right.
It's all insured. We're good.
Sheesh.
I just need it for tomorrow night's group.
you almost got to put like a little strap handle on it. Like on the
Never
front.
been dropped before, Tyler.
Oh, I'm not gonna
Oh,
drop
now
it.
you don't trust it. Move it to the next
Safety
person.
So spirit boxes. We're going to be using a lot of different style spirit boxes tonight. So they're all going to be a little bit different than the next one. So on your TV shows, this is normally the white noise if you're unfamiliar with what this does. And then Zach Bagans tells you the BS he thinks either right in the middle of the screen, trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time. However, these spirit boxes are slowed down. None of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time and all of the history I'm going to give you. Somebody's going to fall asleep. So the slowing down of it allows the radio chatter to come through. In the event we can make out any kind of commercials, songsters, DJs, it's a 50-50 shot. We can tie it to the location of where we are, person we're discussing in history, or something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. So with this guy, Aniston, did I get the name right? Aniston is going to have an earbud in. So she's going to be the only one to hear it in real time.
I like this.
So
It's like none of you.
This one is also recording, so I will be writing down whatever she hears in real time, but I'm also going to be spot checking this audio tomorrow morning and giving you about 15 to 25 more markers. So whether it's relevant or not, it helps train your ear on how to listen to this, even though Aniston's going to get a full 2-hour training session tonight. So your earwax is gross. You get to keep these. I don't want them back.
She cleaned them. Just for the
Undo the twist tie. Your volume is right here. So I'm going to turn it all the way down so you don't get blasted in the ear. You don't need to hit anything else besides that volume button. And you cannot mess up the recording. It's going to record even Steven.
And you have to be quiet.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's key.
I do have 2 of these. So Houston, just because you seem like you're pretty apt to some of the terminology of what goes on with these devices, I'm going to give you this one that does not record. I don't have an SD card in it on purpose. So this way, I'm going to be relying on you in real time of what's going on, of what you
I
tell
feel
me.
like a real ghost.
So again, it's already sleeping. Again, earwax.
Pretty much on
Volume
TV.
button, use the wheel
Tape
at
it to
the
your
top.
chest.
The cool thing is that it has 2 earbuds, obviously. So if you want to share it with Bella, she's going to have her own device too. So this way she can actually help you listen in on it too. That way you guys can actually work together. Then you might actually
You already
have
got your
to out.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Alright guys, let's go.
Good. That's
All right,
you
bye.
wanted the whole way to be.
Thank you.
And I knew they were going to have these
I'm like, but why this?
free earbuds.
The next spirit box works completely different. We don't actually have to listen to it. It's going to give us the words on the screen. This is going to replace an obelisk. It's a good thing you're excited because it's going to you.
Yay!
That means put your phone on.
So it's going to give us the words on the screen. And it's also sweeping through the FM radio stations using the words that it's recognizing from its 9100 word database. So that's how this guy actually operates. It's going to save all the words and phrases to a list with timestamps. I look through this first when I'm going through your data because, again, 80% of this is going to be garbage. So it's a phone. So other 20% is going to be relative to the person, the location, obviously one of you. I'm going to clear out the last tour I did. They had about 80 terms show up. That's about an average, 75 to 85 for a 2-hour time frame. And again, we're going to start off fresh. So the word offender on yours, Krista, is not going to be on our word list. It will be the next word starting. I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the word list and show you how to get to it.
First. Put some water on it quickly. Yeah, no, there's not.
Brand new device, brand new to the market, brand new to the tour. This thing's only about 3 months old to the market. These aren't even being shown on TV yet. So basically what we have here is a digital Ouija board. It's going through a cursor of letters, and it's using EMF spikes to actually stop and give us a letter and save all of those letters to the bottom. The hope here is that we're going to see anagrams, initials, or spelled out words. Like that's the whole point of this. So haven't really gotten a whole lot out of this guy yet, so I'm hoping that we're going to be able to capture something tonight with it. Now, it doesn't record anything, so I'll be kind of sifting through it from time to time. Bella, this one's actually going to go to you. So I'm going to show you how to play with this guy. So I'm going to show you more about that at our next stop.
2 more.
The next spirit box, Cassidy, not Chastity.
Chastity, not chastity.
Yours works completely different as well. So yours is going to sweep through the FM and AM radio stations simultaneously. What it's going to try to do is it's going to try to take out the white noise that Huston and Aniston are actually listening to and only give you words. So you're only going to hear about 10 to 12 terms pop up out of this guy. You're not going to have an earbud in. Part of the reason why I'm giving this one to the 2 of you is because Tyler's device actually records audio as well. So if you miss something, it's fine. It might show up on his audio. I figured the 2 of you are going to be next to each other most of the night. The only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it and where the mute button is. You're going to be looking at the lights. The blinking lights are at the top. So the speaker's down here. That's what you'll be listening from. You have a mute button, and it's already on mute because of we're going to be near some horses soon. They don't like the white noise in case it does slip through. That's on the right-hand side for you. It's the only button there. Right now the mute is already on, but go ahead and get a feel for that and feel for where that mute button actually is. Bryan, you get to carry the bag.
Awesome.
Anybody who crosses their arms the whole time, no, I'm kidding. I'm giving them a
I
hard time.
didn't know it.
You went that way too? You're actually going to kind of have a thumb on everybody's stuff with the multi-device. So figure kind of did it
You're
in charge.
not doing your job.
Nice little taser.
Do your job.
This is a millimeter. So you guys have probably seen the little blinking EMF detectors on TV. So if you're unfamiliar with those, that's one of these guys. So you guys have seen these. So one of these is built into here only in a digital format. This is way more accurate. This guy only goes to 25, which is why they put it on TV, because it looks exciting. So anything on 2.5 on the big numbers, I want to know what's going on.
Is it karaoke
So
night
pick
at Big
up on some
John's?
things. The second thing is at the bottom,
Go to karaoke.
in case Brayden finds something on his camera, it has ambient temperature being measured with the yellow probe at the top. So that way, it's just at the ready. We don't need to focus on it. The last thing is it has a motion sensor built into it. In the event something gets close to that antenna, it's gonna go off. I'm not touching it. I'm touching it now. I'm pointing it down because the lights are super bright, and you and I are going to talk more about that motion sensor at the first stop that we'll use it, which is 2 stops from now. So again, just kind of get used to where the numbers move around, and I figured the two of you would be switching up and working together anyway. Is that thermometer piece just happens, he's going to poke you in the ear. You got that? It's not a ghost. He's like, I'm not sure, man. All right, so everybody's geared up, right?
Yeah.
All right, go have fun. Braden's in charge. Let me know what happens.
Why is my twin in charge? I'm older than my
Yeah,
twin.
Finally in
And
charge,
Finally in
he says.
I feel like my photo. Mine
Are
takes
you Instagramming already?
mine takes
Heck
night
yeah.
vision photos.
So, you got letters already?
Mine just not very good at night.
So, there's a reason why we started here. Big John's. It's the reason why it was in everybody's text. It's an easy landmark for us. You didn't get a text. Dad got a text. So, Big John's. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Can you imagine why they named it Big John's Tavern? So, he used to play for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a building or a space, I will do my best to slow down on key words. I say slow down because I'm from the north. Sometimes I talk a little too quick to some of the southerners that we get in the group. So it does happen. It's another reason why we record everything. So that way you can go back and listen to it in case you missed something. Now with that being said, John used to sit in the back of the bar and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink. So he had the bartender throw them out. They left pretty angry, but they came back the next night and they tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on, he slams down his beer and goes over and just starts pounding on these guys, just beating the heck out of them. A couple of gunshots went off. John gets grazed in the neck and the bullet landed behind him in the wall. He gets up after being the only one that's been shot, goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. So, yes, funny story, because nobody died in that story. That's what you were all expecting. Normally if I tell you a building's haunted, there's a tragic death, right? Not always. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. I say allegedly because this is a new renovation of Big John's. They may have filled it in. And if they did, that means that they sealed Big John's blood inside the wall. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or a headache. This is the reason why we're here. This is kind of your heated warning. We're hopefully going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, and I have no idea how any of you are going to be affected by it. Any event, anybody feels any of those things, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yes. All right, figured as much. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay, violated almost.
Dad's
How?
big argument.
What?
Huh?
Nothing.
There was thirst and then drown.
Yeah, drown.
Oh,
Yeah, no drowning's here.
That'll fix your thirst.
Yeah, right?
Right?
The other ghosts are having a discussion.
You guys been taking other like history tours around town? Carriage tours,
No,
anything?
actually.
Other than museums,
Nothing?
not yet.
We had a
Tours
big
and
earthquake here in 1886. Did you guys know that? Because
No.
normally every tour guide talks about it in some way.
did hear about that on Fort
Tower of
Sumter.
the Fort Sumter
So
one.
Big John's is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building broke off in the front during the earthquake, hit somebody in the back of the head and killed him. Yeah, they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night, but I don't have any proof of this story, which is exactly why I said apparently a lot with that.
It's 'cause
I
of Star
use
Tour.
that story as a segue, so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour from the headache, nausea, or dizziness, even though I just brought it back up again. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting? Fellas,
Yes.
up to you. Are you
Yes,
ready?
yes, yes, yes.
All right.
Yes, yes.
There's a definite
I'm
yes
just
out
not
of everything.
touching mine until you
Not
say
yet.
to.